what is your general life mantra, or what's some advice that you've received that resonates very well with you?
One thing that I've really committed to, and this is kind of, I guess, what I would say is my mantra. I actually have it on this bracelet here. I just live by like the little phrase, "It's all good,"
Mhm.
and that's when I committed to for a while. When I was a freshman in high school, we had this friend that we were close with. He was like an older brother figure to us. He was like multiple years older. His dad and my uncle were like best friends. So he was always over at the house with us during like family cookouts and stuff. So he was just kind of a family friend that we looked up to a lot. When he had a bit of an odd upbringing, just like a very odd like household. He really wasn't living with his parents. His parents didn't have much of any of a relationship, and it was just this whole mess, just a rough upbringing in general.
Mhm.
So he was on his own for a lot from when he was like 16. Not that he had to be, but he chose to be, just kind of wrong path, and he got into all kinds of like heavy drugs and was not in a healthy form. And then him and his dad kind of rekindled, and he had a really good relationship with his dad. Was completely sober, was like going to the gym, just trying to get everything like back in order. Um, and he was a very laid back guy, and he used to say it all the time. He would say it's all good, and that was just kind of what he lived by. Was like, God, like, because every time you get into a stressful situation or you overthink something or like financially you're worried, it's like literally it's all good. Like you're fine. Like things are gonna work their way out. Like the only thing that's stressing about it, or the only thing that's stressing about it is going to do is make it 10 times worse for you down the road. Because if you just stay calm, relax, and find your way through it, it's all good. So he kind of lived by that. And when he was 23 and he was like cleaned up, sober, like him and his dad had a great relationship. They were going to the gym together in the morning and like doing these workouts. One morning at it, he when they were lifting, he had a brain aneurysm completely out of nowhere and passed away. So I went to his funeral, and that was one of the things that they had mentioned, that he would always say, it's all good. And that he was just a very laid back person who never wanted to put stress on others and never wanted to overdo things in terms of like, because there's always those people who are so wound up that it's just like, he was a very like, guys, everybody relax, it's all good, like the mellow everybody out. And I don't know why, but at the funeral, it really stuck with me. And I went straight from there to a baseball practice, and I just like couldn't stop thinking about it. So I really got like committed into it. And then I told my fiance about it, and it was just like something I would always say, like when she would come home like crying because like she twisted her ankle and she can't play, or something bad happened in her family, I would just always like quietly hug her and just be like, it's all good, and just kind of walk through that. So that's something that I've really adopted and that I've committed to. And I guess I would state it's kind of like my mantra.
What do you think the long-term impact of taking life too seriously is for people? Because I think that those kind of tie into the same vein a little bit, where
Yeah.
the worst thing in life that could happen is that you could die. That's
Yeah.
what my friend and I always used to say to each other. Things started to turn a little bit awry, or we had a situation that wasn't ideal, we'd kind of look at each other and say, well, we're not dead yet, so
Yeah. Yeah. That's
we're on
good.
the right foot. Let's move forward.
Yeah, I like that a lot though, because it's so true. It's like, everything could be going to shit and it could be in shambles. You get kicked out of your house, your car gets towed, like everything's going down. It's like, well, guess what? You still had a meal today, so you're still at least full. Like there's always some type of positive to take away. So that's kind of how I approach it. But like I agree, and I think that the over stress of that, because I have friends that are like that are just so wound up and so tight, like I mean, obviously, like just being at that high of a gear for that long could literally result in death.
Mhm.
Quite literally, like you could get a heart attack from being that overstressed. And also, I think the other thing that comes with it is that, like, when you're that wound up, and there's a balance, because there's also being way too mellow, where you get yourself into way too much trouble because you don't do anything and you haven't gotten your life together. Like you haven't, I mean, not that I in any way have mine together yet, but I think I have a good understanding of where I should be and what I need to do. So there's the two ends of the spectrum. I think both are aggressively bad to be on. You want to find that balance, because if you're so wound up, it can even get to a point where by the time you're 30, you have the build of a 60-year-old man, because you put your body through so much of overthinking and overstressing that your bones aren't holding up straight. Like you go through injuries all the time. You're like, and I mean, this is also can occur just randomly, but hair loss, you could literally force yourself through too much stress into being hair loss and stuff like that. And then you're 40 years old and you have a kid or you're 35 and you have a kid that's 6, 7 years old, and you can't go out in your backyard and play basketball with them because you overworked yourself too much in terms of the stresses and everything that occurs. And like I said, also the same other side is that you're just so mellow that you really don't care about anything.